All right, everybody, we're back. We're back coming in hot. 2026 is coming up. It's Christmas. Everybody got all the crazy stuff out the way with AEP and all that. We're back with Eric Fierro from DFY and also the co-owner of DFY and A Setters, Tim James. What's up, everybody? Come on, guys.
Hello. How is everyone doing?
You got your Santa on, I see, and Eric's out here wrapping gifts for everybody. So you can see that he has bags under his eyes because he's giving out that bag to everybody else. You know what I mean? So tis the season, man. I'm so happy I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about all these presents and all this stuff, man. If it were up to me, like I was saying, I could work during Christmas, but again, it's just the thing to do. I love Jesus, but I don't like how Coca-Cola branded Christmas into this this whole situation where we have to do all this stuff and spend all this money and we got things to do, you know what I mean? We got things
Yeah,
to
we
do. But 'tis the season. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you guys. Just wanted to get you guys on because let's talk 2026. Let's talk appointment setting. Let's talk the future of CRMs and what's out there for marketing and how agents can wrap all this together, right? So that's what we're gonna be doing here, guys. Um, let me start off here. All right. So just for a lot of you guys, the DFY platform of course is a hot commodity in the insurance space. But again, the A setters aspect of what they do, the appointment setters and the VA aspect of what they do it's a pretty big part of what they offer as well too. So for a lot of agents that don't know, even Tim, how did you get started in this VA space?
well, Andrew, thank you for having me on your Christmas special podcast. Uh, so it's actually this is where I started in the insurance space. So I started working with a gentleman, and I started a company called Medicare. Well, I helped form a company called Medicare Appointment Setters, and this was probably about 6 years ago. And what we would do is we would actually exclusively hire Filipino telemarketers, and it was a similar model. We would place the Filipino marketers with insurance agents, right? And back then, because I was new to the space, I like everything was cold calling. So, which is a big no-no now. But I didn't know. I just came in and I was asked to kind of form this company. And so that's where I started. And then that partnership, kind of deteriorated. And then I started Ace Setters and I started really diving into, different ways of improving, like training appointment setters, finding better talent. And I started looking into other countries, right? So, like now, our appointment setting program, we hire voice accounts primarily from Jamaica, just because they sound better on the phone. And they're around the same pay rate and they do a really good job. They're close to US culture. So that's what we do. But we still hire for virtual assistants. We'll hire, people from Jamaica or the Philippines or whatever. But in a nutshell, that's where I started. And it has been a long, long journey. I've had to learn a lot of things the hard way. I've made a lot of mistakes, with staffing people from different countries to US based employers, right? So like, and there's just cultural differences between these countries that like you have to kind of understand and you have to take into account for when looking for talent and all this stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And just so, the audience can get an idea on, how you guys started doing this. Before, doing the setters, what sort of made you realize like, oh, this actually works, right? Like VAs actually work for your business.
Yeah, so when I came into it, I saw that like most agents, at least from the appointment setting aspect, and we can talk about virtual assistants here in a second, but like most agents were not dialing, they were generating digital leads or they were purchasing leads. And what I noticed is that most insurance agents are just busy as hell, right? So they've got like a million things going on, right? They're trying to operate their business, they're doing sales calls, they're they're doing client calls, right? They're trying to market their company. I mean, it's a full-time gig. And what I realized was is like the thing that most agents don't like to do is calling, right? Outbound calling to people, right? For a lot of reasons. Number one, like your time, like what is your time worth, right? And so that's a really important thing I try to stress to agents, which is like, okay, when do you need an appointment setter? Like at what point? And so there's a lot of different factors you can kind of look at. So the first one being like how many leads are you generating in a week, right? On average, whether you're purchasing leads once a month or whatever, how many are you generating? And if the answer is over 40, you probably need an appointment setter. And the reason being is because each one of those leads needs to be dialed at least 6 to 12 times within the first couple weeks of the lead being generated. So if you're consistently getting in 40 leads a week, very quickly the agent's not going to be able to get those touches in that is still very, very important for connecting with clients. So when I started seeing the results appointment setters were getting, adding sometimes, between 4 and 10 appointments per day or live transfers per day, and the agents were closing more, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Their pay rate is flat, right? All they're doing is assisting in the sale. And so it's like it's so inexpensive to get an appointment center. It's like $160 a week. So like anyone that wants to grow their business, like you have to look at like how many hours do you have in a week? And what is your true value, right? Like look at what you made last year or what you're projecting to make, and you can pretty much determine what your hourly rate is. And I guarantee you your hourly rate is probably over $4 an hour, right? So it just made sense. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And Eric, since we have you on as well too, my brother, um, when people hear appointment settings, they think like a spam call or a call center, which you used to run a call center. So, what do you think differentiates a good setter in that manner as opposed to what you've experienced at call centers?
Yeah, I think one important thing to one distinction to make is that the idea of having your appointment setter is not so that you can go buy a list of data and just have them cold calling the entire list. I mean, although that's something that's possible, the more useful case for having an appointment setter is if you're generating leads or purchasing leads that have people who are actually interested in what you're offering, than having the appointment setter calling them, because even though people are showing interest, filling out forms, we still have the same old data showing us that most prospects aren't going to answer their phone until the 6 to 12 call, right? The 6 to 12th attempt. And unfortunately, many agents just don't make more than 2 phone calls when they get a lead. So that's where you can really see a marked difference is having an appointment setter whose sole job is to keep calling, at least 12 times before they decide that this is going to be a dead lead, right? Or at least a lead that you can call back 90 days later. So I think that that's a really important thing to notate is that agents or appointment setters should be calling on leads, right? Even old leads, it's okay. If you have some age leads, it's good for them to call age leads as well. But calling cold data, I think that's a lot of times where we get the bad rap, right? That's because of the situations going on with calling cold data. So we've seen a lot of great results from having our Jamaican appointment setters calling on leads. We have some pretty big names that work with us who are utilizing our services, and they see some really good results. They see agents or they see appointment setters that are setting 6 to 8 to 10 appointments per day. Again, depending on the volume of leads that you have coming in. So it's going to be it's a great symbiotic relationship where when you have an appointment setter, you do need to be feeding them people to call, right? So if you have an appointment setter, but you're only generating 20 leads a month and expecting some kind of magic to happen, then you're going to be sorely disappointed. So you do need to make sure that you have a volume of leads coming in to be able to make the most of having somebody on your team. And I think another thing that we've seen a lot recently is with AI getting better and better, voice AI getting better and better, it's becoming a new thing that a lot of agencies, whether they're marketing agencies or insurance agencies, they're talking more and more about that. And as cool as that is, right? Because we utilize it as well. So it's not like we're ignoring that fact. But when you look at the cost of utilizing the voice AI versus utilizing an actual appointment setter, it still ends up, at least at higher volumes, it ends up being that the appointment setter is going to be a better bet for you. It'll cost less. And, again, there's always that human element that people are still looking for. They like talking to humans, they like the human interaction. And maybe someday in the future, voice AI will be able to do better and better at making the actual calls. But that's why we also think it's important that these appointment setters that you're hiring can also eventually be trained up to be virtual assistants to help you in other aspects of your business besides just making those phone calls.
And that's so true. So, yeah, I mean, again, I've always been picky with finding a VA, right? I've just it's there's certain aspects of what they can do and what they can't, and the one that you guys hooked me up with, I mean, now she's also going into different roles now as opposed to just dialing and dialing and dialing. So I completely agree with that, and also they're coachable, which is nice. And they're doing basically they're filling all the other blanks that were missing besides just again dialing. So and again, like I told you guys, I'm very picky with VAs. Like I really and the way that you guys worked with me, where you guys are like, okay, well, we're gonna get you this VA here because that's a good fit for you, and then just the trial and error with choosing that VA that really made a difference. So I do appreciate that. What's so I know what it is, but what's a moment where you guys realize, okay, this system has changed someone's business?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we like doing is, at least for the first 60 days, we're going to continue monitoring that the VA or the appointment setter is doing what we hired them to do. So it's our quality assurance, right? And it's important for us to see that they're doing a good job because ultimately, the better they do, then the more the agent's going to want to refer more people to work with us. So we see it all the time. It's not, and I can't point out one instance because the point I'm making is that we talk to agents all the time and get great feedback because all of a sudden they're getting appointments on a calendar that they weren't getting before when they were just relying on themselves making those phone calls. I guess I've told you before, they just aren't. I guess I don't know if it's disciplined enough or they just, maybe they get busy. Agents get really busy doing other types of work and they end up not calling the leads and those leads get older and older and older and eventually they're just setting their money on fire. So they see the immediate ROI because now they go from making appointments every now and then to all of a sudden getting 2 to 3 appointments being booked per day by your appointment setter. It's an immediate change, an immediate ROI, and that's when we're just like, man, we gotta scale this because we can see that it's making a big difference in the agent's business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, Tim, what about you?
Well, I was going to say, like kind of what Eric was saying about, we love AI, and I mean, me and Eric, Andrew, we're leading tech, we're tech leaders or whatever in the space, right? So like we're constantly always trying to find the things to introduce to agents that'll yield them the best results for the least amount of money, right? That's like our MO. And the thing is appointment setter still, it's like it works. It's if you get a good appointment setter and you establish, I mean, we have a team of like 10 VAs, right? And I mean, essential to our operations, right? And I mean, these are people that I've built relationships with. Me and Eric have over the last, two years or whatever, however long it's been. And not only did like we've had like our coordinator right now started off just being an appointment setter for us to follow up with leads and all that kind of stuff and no shows and we promoted her and so she's actually handling coordinating placements with our talent pool with agents and whatnot. And so what's really cool is Eric touched on this is that they can start off as a setter, and so we have a really massive talent pool, right? So and we're collecting a lot of data on our applicants, like software they've used, right? What they're proficient in, what their work experience is. We even know their internet speed, their tech specs, right? So what we do is we find this talent pool, and then when like Andrew or someone signs up with us, we get on a call with the agent. We say, okay, what's going on? How many leads are you generating a week? What's your show rate? And we try to nail down what's going on, and how the setter will be of service, right? And so if someone says, hey, I need an appointment setter, but they also need to be able to update this spreadsheet, or to do this thing, or to whatever, we will do our best to find someone that has experience that's going to be best for that role. The biggest pain in the butt of getting an appointment setter or a VA from overseas is getting the right talent. So there's a couple of issues that you have to be careful with. Like number one, there's a lot of job stacking, especially if you go to websites like Fiverr, onlinejobs.ph, right? And countries where it's oversaturated. Like right now, the Philippines is oversaturated. When you hear the word VA or virtual assistant, it is literally synonymous with the Philippines, right? And I love the Philippines, right? Some of the best talent we've ever gotten is from the Philippines. But someone's got to go in there and weed through, right? And find the people that are actually qualified for the job, that are going to be honest and, work solely for you. And so what we do, as what I like to call us, is like a staffing agency, but we're kind of like a done with you system, because we not only find the right candidate, we guarantee the right candidate. And if the candidate doesn't work out, we replace that candidate, but we're also holding your hand and helping you to be able to delegate tasks, to be able to pay your setter, to be able to communicate with them effectively, just like you would hire any US based employee. And so the better result is if you can get a staff member from overseas that wants the job, that's qualified for the job, that you can develop a relationship with and teach the processes you want to offload, that's the ideal situation. Is there a little bit of work in the beginning where you have to, maybe cross train on certain things? Sure. Do you have to communicate with them? Absolutely. But the same thing would happen if you were hiring someone from the US. The only difference is they're much more affordable. And a lot of times these people are actually do better than US based
Efficient.
people. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
very efficient and they're hungry. And so like who's the best person for the job, right? And so that's what we look for.
love that. Love that. And talking about A setters, I mean, this has to seep into how it works with the CRM. If you guys can just dive in as to what the future looks like with VAs and also the CRM aspect together for 2026, what are we looking at?
It's a good question. I'll start this one off. So AI is increasing. And so what I see happening is that when we hire, and we're already looking for this, we want virtual assistants and appointment setters that are tech savvy, that understand AI. Now, they don't have to be complex programmers, but they know how to utilize these tools to help agents. And they're already doing that, right? So we have a VA that does our content. She's using AI all the time, and that's fine with me. Like someone's still got to steer the ship and make sure that the files look right and get to where they need to go, right? So there's always going to be a place for virtual assistants, at least for the next 5 to 10 years, I would say. But so it's just a changing of roles, right? So people still need to be dialed. Right now, appointment setting is still the most efficient way of doing it if you get a good candidate, right? But also the tasks that we're offloading, we cross train them to use these tools. So like my team, they know how to use Claude. They know how to use Claude Code. They know how to do the things that I need them to be able to do. And I make sure that I take the time to go over it with them, and or at least give them the resources so that I can say, hey, such and such, can you build a form that does this that would then zap over here? And they do it. So it's a matter of figuring out the priority, figuring out where AI does the best job versus where a VA would do the best job, and how it intersects. Does that make sense?
Yep. Eric, want to touch upon that?
I don't know that I have anything else to add to that. I think that's actually that was a good explanation. Yeah.
Nice. And I mean, so a lot of agents have been finding success with DFY. Like, what's the future for DFY in 2026?
You know, Tim and I have been, going to our yearly drawing board to kind of just plan out what we want our next year to look like. And there's a couple of cool new, I guess I don't know if we want to call them offers that we're looking at bringing out in 2026 to help agencies grow. For since my inception with DFY, the focus has mainly been on the solo agent and wanting to help them grow their businesses so eventually they can become agencies, right? They can have LOAs, they can have a team. And as we all know, the whole idea of a business is to eventually get yourself to be out of the business so that it's running on its own, and eventually you can either sell it or pass it on down to a loved one if you have family coming into the business. But the idea is that you want to be able to eventually not be in the day to day. So I think that one of the big things we want to look at doing this coming year is working with more agencies that already are established and need more help with the technology front and maybe the advertising front so that they can make it all work together seamlessly in through our DFY system. So at this point, we have all the pieces to the puzzle to have a true business in a box, and I think we're looking to flex that a lot more in 2026.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess one last question here because I know you guys have Christmas stuff to do. And it's a Friday, right? It's a Friday. And me and Tim have been doing StarCraft every Friday. So if you guys want to join our StarCraft League of
Yes,
insurance agents playing StarCraft, it's an exclusive group, so we're not just gonna let anybody in, but
thirty-five
if
hundred
you're
dollars to play with us.
yeah, exactly. That's another affiliate link there that I'm going to put on the bottom if you guys want to join a network whilst playing StarCraft 2. But for the people that are finding success, and I just want to talk about marketing a little bit, the people that are finding success with your Medicare marketing, I've seen people that have personally expressed that they've used your system to do. In how seminars, like in-person seminars, right? And these are like simple lead forms, and it wasn't that much of a lead cost, but the returns were exponential. Can you guys walk us through how agents are utilizing this, how they're learning this, and how they're getting such good benefits on the returns, their money back essentially, and then some?
Yeah. Um, the I would say that right now, most agents, when they get in the business, they're kind of a little bit lost in terms of how to get in front of more people. And there's a lot of people out there who will say, go to your warm market. And that's a great start when you don't have any funds to be able to invest into leads. But you always eventually want to get to the point where, in order to have more predictable scalability, you're going to need to invest in a way to get in front of more people. Seminars is a really good way, especially if you're comfortable speaking in front of a group of seniors. Seminars is a really great way to start doing that. And there's several places, and I don't mind, if you don't mind, Andrew, but there's actually several places where you can get some good education on how to run a seminar. And actually, one of our good friends, Joanna Wyckoff, she has a course that teaches agents how they can successfully run seminars. And we actually have DFY members who have subscribed to her course and followed it to the T and have had a lot of successful seminars. Webinars is another way, a virtual seminar essentially. Webinars is another big way that people are getting in front of groups of consumers to be able to get the message across and teach them about Medicare, how it works, and then start booking appointments to be able to make the sale over the phone. That's just been another huge thing for years now that has been highly successful, and I don't really see that slowing down because people still want in masses to get the information, and just reading it alone a lot of times can be confusing because a lot of questions come up. And so that's the beauty of the webinars and the seminars is that you have a point person to be able to ask questions and get help and get sent in the right direction. And so webinars is another big thing. There's several people out there who are teaching webinars and how to do it, and it's been a highly successful platform. We've seen a lot of great agencies grow pretty rapidly by implementing that and also doing some awesome awesome selling techniques that are more advanced, such as bundling different products of insurance. You yourself, Andrew, are a bundling expert, and obviously, almost all of us who have currently done bundling learn from the queen herself, the queen of the bundle, Galen Hendricks. And so kudos to her. Thanks to Galen that, she's really been pounding that drum for a long time to try to get more and more agents. And I think that we're now finally in a place in the market where things have become a little more difficult. And because of that difficulty, more agents are being a lot more open to learning these different techniques. And so I would say, for anybody who wants to learn how to bundle more, Andrew is the man. He's somebody who you should contact immediately and get some coaching from him, and obviously get contracts through him, because he's always on the top of the leaderboards with ancillary products. And I think that that's one way that an agent can very quickly start to scale and be able to not only get a larger return per client, but now you have more money to reinvest into marketing so that you can keep the train going. Because that's the trick. It's like you make some sales, you get some money, but you don't want to go and spend all the money you just made. You always got to earmark some of that to keep investing in more marketing. That way you can continually scale and eventually hire on an LOA agent or independent agent that you're going to provide leads for. And then now you have more money to invest in advertising. And again, us as DFY want to be that business in a box, which is why that's another huge service that we offer and that you, Andrew, utilize, which is our ad management services, so that we can be your marketing arm. We can be the ones who are running the ads for you at a fixed cost, and you just have to worry about doing what you do best, growing your companies, making sales, and teaching agents.
Boom. Yep, I can attest to that. And Tim, any feedback on that?
What was the question?
Question is, I love it. I love it, man. It's
I got
Friday,
lost.
baby.
I got lost in Eric's eyes. Uh,
Uh, I mean, just with what we just talked about, with DFY's future, I even forgot the question.
Well, let's
So,
say ad
It's
management.
time to switch.
Because
It's time to switch.
Tim is the goat in marketing, and so
there
yeah,
we
ad
go. Okay, so
management.
in-house seminar. So yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I know
in-house
you were
seminar.
sort of the forefront of that, right? And so in-person seminars and also webinars as well too. I know what you're doing. Share
Yeah.
with the audience what you are.
Yeah. So, well, Eric touched on it. There's two ways of doing it. You probably have a much higher closing rate when you do an in-person seminar versus a digital, but there's more scalability with the digital. So the way we set up let's talk about in-person seminars. You find a location that you want to do your seminar at. It could be at a restaurant, it could be at a library. We run ads in that area, right? It's a simple lead form, or lead form or web form where they register, they can add their spouse, they get reminded to go to the in-person seminar. We have the automations already pre-built where it will remind them based off of the date. And then we just have it's either a reoccurring something that you're doing reoccurring, or you set an event date for it, and then the automations fire out. They show up. You have a certain show rate, and then we have automations post webinar, or not post seminar or post webinar, that will follow up with the leads that did not show up, or the ones that did show, to book an appointment so that you can do your sales pitch. That answer the question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, guys, I mean, this is if you're not already implementing some of this, I mean, this is just what works, right? And for 2026, let's see what happens with again, just more tools that we can work with and just whatever is going to come our way tech-wise of 2026. And glad to have these guys behind me and helping me out with this as well too. So guys, I appreciate your time. Of course, it is the holidays. Please spend good time with your family right now. And I wish everybody a happy holiday that's watching. If you guys haven't already liked or subscribed to this channel, you did like this content because this is good stuff. It's about marketing, it's about sales. Please, please, please subscribe and comment below if you did have any questions. See you guys at the next one. Thanks.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.